Hello everyone, welcome to my video today. My name is Miriam Delicato and I am in Canyon de Chelly at the moment at Spider Rock Campground. And I haven't been here for actually quite a few years. Um, this is the famous spot that I talk about in my book where I had some sightings way back, many years ago now. In 2004 when I came out here. And it's been kind of nice to camp once again in the just kind of in the same area. I highly recommend that if anyone come out to Canyon de Chelly that they check out this amazing campground. You can put your feet on the earth. The sand and the earth itself is just welcoming, and you can hear a little bit of cars in the background from where the road is, but there's also some beautiful walks that if you talk to the owner of the campground, he might be able to direct you. And he also does tours and things like that into the canyon. So I wanted to make this video today to talk a little bit about, quote, native indigenous knowledge, and just to say that one of the most powerful um, one of the ultimate most powerful pieces of information that I think that I have ever understood about Native culture is that as an outsider, no matter how many books I read, if I were to read them, which I don't, but if I were to read the books or to even spend time in the communities, that we really don't know anything. And this keeps getting relayed back to me over and over and over again. Watching when people come from different cultures and step into these deep-rooted traditional ways of life that people have lived for literally thousands of years, and making assumptions that we have some kind of understanding of this way of life is very arrogant and not at all humble. There was a person who I saw in Hopi last week. An elder walked up to them and asked them to move, and they didn't. They said, "Oh no, I'm okay. I'll move. You know, when someone comes, I'll move." But they had been asked to move by an elder. And then when I said to them, you know, as I was sitting in where I was, and I thought, gosh, you know, all those people are going to come back, and it'll be a little bit disruptive, him trying to get away from where he was sitting, because there's not a lot of space. So I reached over to him and I said, you might want to move now before everyone gets back, because it might be a bit disruptive. I'm just, you know, just wanted to let you know that they're going to be coming back when they finish what they're doing here. And the man raised his voice at me and said, I've been coming here for 30 years. I know what I'm doing. Mind your own damn business. And I thought, wow, you've been coming here for 30 years, but you don't realize that you were just asked by an elder to move and you refused. And that was really shocking for me. And being out here in Spider Rock, I just witnessed someone walk up to an indigenous person and talk about very matter-of-factly, and this is what this says, and this is what I learned, and this is that right? Is that right? About something that he'd read, and the person just said, no, that's not, no. He just said no. And he didn't respond. And then the guy said, yeah, but that was in this, you know, that's what I learned. And then I said to him, yeah, about 90% of what you read online is probably inaccurate when it comes to native and indigenous culture. And he said, well, I didn't read it online. I read it in a book. As if that's different. I've talked about my experiences with different traditional communities, but it's from the standpoint of my own experience that I've had, and it has never been from the point of view that I have some exceptional knowledge of their culture and way of life. But I think that one of the bases of understanding that I do have, and that I've always entered in these communities as having, is that I don't know their culture and their world. That's theirs. And I wanted to talk about this a little bit today because I keep seeing it coming up over and over and over again. And I have for, many years in every community that I've traveled to, where there's this really, really strong assumption. Oh, something just landed on me. Sorry. There's these really strong assumptions that they have this entitlement, and that they have this knowledge, and that they have this understanding, and therefore, get out of their way. And I constantly remind myself to be humble and to try to be as respectful as I possibly can, meaning in certain situations and things, wearing shorts is inappropriate. Even a tank top with what I'm wearing right now would be inappropriate. Understanding that, and here's something else that came up recently with someone. They became very upset because they said to me, I've been around elders before. I know how to act around elders. But that is a very arrogant statement, to believe that every culture is the same, and that every elder is the same, that every protocol for that society is the same. It means that you're diminishing the culture itself that you claim that you are, wanting to admire and uphold. All groupings of Indigenous people have base understandings of the earth, of honoring the earth, of honoring the spiritual elements of life itself. That is the same in all traditional communities. But how they go about doing that and what their protocols are very different. For example, in some you would have to you'd have to wear a long skirt. In others, if you did that, it would be considered disrespectful, let's say. You can't, not trying to dress like them and trying to be like them when there's no real invitation to do so is and could be perceived as being arrogant or inappropriate. In some cultures, it's all right to have bare arms, and in some Indigenous cultures, and in others, it's not, especially for women. So to have this thought that you know how to be around elders, that's great if you know how to be around elders that you've been with. If you're with new elders, I would highly recommend trying to be as quiet as possible and listening to what it is that they're saying, and trying not to speak a lot or ask a lot of questions, and just remember to have humility. As I said, I remind myself of this all the time because, in fact, I think that I maybe should not have said anything to that gentleman, to say to him, maybe it's a good idea to move before they come back. Maybe that was my arrogance in thinking that I had a right to say anything at all. So him telling me to mind my own business was probably correct. But what happened for me personally is that he gifted me by showing me that I need to always remember to be humble. And humility means that sometimes even when you know the answer, you don't speak it. Humility is when you know that you're right and you don't argue it. Humility is when you recognize that you are a student in front of a teacher. Humility is when You don't take something that you've learned and start sharing it with everyone in every direction thinking that you're an expert. Humility is accepting that each one of us is on a very powerful individual spiritual journey, learning and growing as we go along, and that when we are in very unique situations with Indigenous people, it is a gift and an honor, and there's nothing there to take advantage of at any given point in time. So these are some of the deep insights that I've had over the last, 15 years of traveling to different communities and being out in the Southwest again, surrounded by traditional cultures in every direction, all, in Arizona, New Mexico, Utah, the entire region. It's good to remind ourselves to be humble and to be respectful and to not ask a lot of questions, because seriously, if you ask a lot of questions, they just stop talking. People will just stop talking, because doing so doesn't say that you're eager to learn. Doing so says that you are not being humble, because the teacher picks the moment to share with the student. The student doesn't demand an answer from the teacher whenever they want. And I'll leave it at that. Have a beautiful day, and thanks for watching. My name is Miriam Delicato. Bye-bye.